tell say, hey, bro. What's up, bro?
What you do, bro? Look, we gonna be authentic out here now.
For those who are wondering, that's our term of endearment towards each other. What's up? What's up, y'all? Welcome. Come on in. Let us know you're here. If you're tuning in live, you're catching a replay. Hashtag replay. You know this song?
Oh yeah. I love that song. It's on my
Sing it then.
playlist.
Sing it.
They not ready. The people not ready. I just gotta give them one talent at a time. Just one. We gotta ease
One
them in.
talent at a time. It's so funny. Hey, you guys, if this is your first time joining, welcome to Growing in Gentleness, a weekly conversation for the gentle and not so gentle parent or caregiver. I am Elise, your host and founder of Parenting for the Culture. And if you have been with us, girl, what was that? January or February? The very first Growing in Gentleness. Amber was the special guest. So you guys have been right. What was that? Was that January or February?
I don't know. It might have been. You know what? I think it was January. It was definitely January because we had not moved. We had not moved yet. Yeah.
Okay. So, excuse me. Our very first Growing in Gentleness guest back in January was Amber. I called it. I know you probably still processing some of the things she shared about attachment, but she is back today. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Amber, in case they did not catch you back in January.
Let me see. I am a wife. I have two beautiful babies. My youngest will be 1 next month, and my oldest will be 17 in August. I am an attachment specialist, a therapist, licensed school social worker, and currently working to become a little bit of a, I guess you could say, a life coach.
Yeah.
So to speak. So yeah, just trying to get those credentials up. Bless the people out here.
Come on. Yes, but Amber is about that life. That's just a little bit of what she does, what she just shared. Like I said, if you guys did not catch that first chat with her, way back when, just go find the videos. Go ahead, check that out. But today, as she mentioned, yes, she is an attachment specialist, but as she also mentioned, she also has a background in the school system as a licensed school social worker. And so today, just jumping on really quick, we're not gonna be with you guys long. I always feel like preaching when I say that, but we're not gonna be before you guys long. But just want to have just a little mini chat about discipline. So, Amber, you talked about working in the school system as a licensed school social worker for a little bit. Can you just talk to us briefly about, like, how did you see? Well, first of all, tell us the population you worked with in the schools, in the school system, but how did you see discipline impact your students?
So I've actually had the opportunity to work with all grade levels, but for the majority of my time, I was with middle schoolers. And to be honest, a lot of the practices I saw were more punitive, and the impact they had were more negative than they were positive.
In what ways? Can you talk a little bit more about that?
So when you think about it, like we had a lot of students, a lot of times when they got in trouble, I mean, and let's think some of the, some of the things they did were like minor and some were like extremely severe. And unfortunately, a lot of the different things that the students did, some of them received a lot of the same consequences and they were ineffective. So I would sometimes, when I found myself talking to students, they felt like the teacher or the principal or whoever it may have been, they did not have a connection. They felt like what happened to them was unfair. And to be honest, 9 times out of 10, I was seeing them on a regular basis because they just found sneakier ways to do stuff, to be honest. Like they really didn't learn anything from it. And so I really just saw the behavior rather repeating itself.
Yes, you said some key things. You said they really didn't learn anything. And if you guys don't know, I know I shared about it in the post, but we're just having this quick conversation about discipline because, as you probably know, if you follow me, I've been on my page or Parenting for the Culture page. Discipline has been a hot topic here recently, and some upcoming events coming up at the end of this week that we'll talk about a little later. And so, but Amber, you just hit on a key point when you said they were not learning anything. I think that's so vital because one of the reasons reason we're having this conversation and the upcoming workshop about discipline is because so many times we forget that discipline means to teach, right? And we get that confused with punishment so often. And so what, and you actually, as you answered that, you said that they were learning how to be more sneaky.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really not the goal that we desire kids learn, right? We are disciplined. So yeah, that's very interesting. What is something you wish educators, even though this is, I mean, educators can benefit from the workshop coming up, but what is something you wish educators understood as they discipline kids in the school setting based on what you witnessed?
I wish they knew the power of connection.
Mm.
And I say that because I thought about a student literally as you were asking me that question, really well behaved student. And right before we got back into the building, because we were actually still there, when the pandemic hit, so much had happened over that year. And when we got back, we had one student. I had been working with him since 6th grade. And when we got back, he was in the 8th grade and he was just completely different. His dad experienced COVID. Dad was in the hospital. Like he literally thought he was going to lose his dad. And thankfully, dad survived. But I know how traumatic that the pandemic was on him. And so his behaviors from 6th grade to 8th grade has shifted completely. And I feel like I was getting called every every single week because something was happening. He was walking out of class or just wasn't, following instructions. And one day in particular, he he my sweet baby. He is really literally as big as I am. But he just had a moment where he shut down and he was literally sitting under the table and no one could get him to do anything. And literally, they called me. I went to the classroom and I literally sat on the floor. I got fussed at too because I think I was like 7 months pregnant at the time. But that didn't matter to me. I literally got on the floor with him and I sat down until he was ready to get up. And we walked to my office and I gave him the chance to just regulate himself. But the teachers saw that as disrespect. And in that moment, he just needed someone to connect with him and help him to regulate so that he can get back and focus on the work because he really genuinely wanted to do the work. He was just stuck in that moment.
Yes, connection before correction is what I just heard you saying that. And because you did take the time to get on his level in the most literal sense, right? That was what helped him get unstuck, right? So yes, thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, no problem.
Yes, connection before correction. So I'm curious to know. So that's your just one experience in discipline in the school setting. But talk to us a little bit about as a parent. How has if you if y'all didn't hear her say she has a 1 year, well, soon to be 1 year old. See, baby, not one quite yet, but then a 17-year-old. So she been in this parenting game for a little while. You know, OG out here.
Sounds like it. Oh man. And wait a minute, she'll be 17 this year. We gotta wait. I need her we gotta focus on
So what has that looked like your understanding or practice of discipline as a parent for these almost 17 years? How has that grown or evolved?
Wow, it has changed drastically. And I gotta admit, like a lot of that change came from like I don't even know how many conversations we had. But what I can say is now I'm at a place in my parenting where I focus on developmentally, like where is she developmentally? How old is she? Well, like I said, she's 16 now, but I think when we first met, I think she was 11. 11? Yeah, she was freakishly young. So yeah, she is. She's a big girl now, but yeah. And so now I'm intentional about okay, where is she developmentally? And I'm intentional about talking to her from and giving her more freedom, I guess you can so to speak, or more responsibility. I'm asking questions. I'm looking at ways to support her. But
before you take us to what it looks like, can you take us to what it used to look like? Can you kind of paint that?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It was absolutely no teaching. It reflected a lot like how I was brought up, and not to say that it was a bad thing, but it was more so like I'm a millennial, and I think a lot of millennials, yourself included, we are used to being raised by the parents who are like children to be seen and not heard. You know what I'm saying? It's more of that thing where it's just like you do as I say and not as I do.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So it was just like, hey, I'm the parent, you're the child. This is what I say goes. It was no explanation. You know what I'm saying? It was no breaking it down to help you understand why we're doing this. And it was not effective at all.
Mm-hmm.
Like I found myself, to be honest, I struggled with a lot of guilt. I struggled with a lot of guilt when it came to really like disciplining her because I'm like, oh my gosh, what am I doing wrong? Like there were countless times like I legit cried talking to you because I'm like, I don't know what else to do. I feel like I was trying everything, and it's like, and not that she was um, a bad kid or anything, and I use bad loosely. It's not like she was just not well behaved. She was a really good girl, but she, as she was growing and going through these different changes, she was changing. Like as she experienced different things, she was evolving, and I didn't know how to navigate those changes.
That's
We
right.
both were new to it all, and I'm just sitting over here like, okay, Lord, what I do? What do I do?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, you hit a key point. You said she was evolving and changing, right? Just literally going through the changes, and that's one thing I think is so important that we as parents remember is that our kids, they go through different phases. They
yeah.
go through different phases at every stage and every age, and it's our job as the parent, right, to identify what that phase is and
Mhm.
how we can leverage it in the sense to really make the most of it because it's just a phase, literally, right? And before
Literally,
we know they're
yeah.
going to be in another phase, we don't want to miss that opportunity to teach them skills that they will need in the next phase and the next and the next. So, yes, and
Mhm.
for those who don't know, we also work together in the school that she talked about. So we had a lot of conversation. We were seat mates for a while, office mates. So we definitely had a lot of conversation. I don't know if I ever said it, but thank you for even inviting me to that space of your parenting journey. I know that was definitely what pulled us even closer together. Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you for holding space for me because I feel like I got a lot of free sessions.
And did let me see you this invoice.
Chick-fil-A or something, you know.
So, but yeah, okay. So that's what it looked like, and you kind of already spoke to how it evolved to more teaching
Mhm.
and looking and considering, like you said, where she was developmentally. If anyone has been following me at any point, probably at this point, you've heard me say we have to pause to ask ourselves: Is
Mhm.
this defiance or is this development? Right? Like even the teenage brain, like it is most compared to a toddler's brain, which is why we see the similarity between the tantrums, at 2 and 3, and like this tantrum, right? And though because the brain is going through a similar amount of rapid changes, right? And so it's just so interesting. I feel like one of the greatest gifts we can give ourselves as parents is to understand the different developmental milestones our kids go through.
Yeah.
So, what a gift you gave yourself and her as you grew in that understanding. Anything else you want to share about your own parenting journey when it comes to discipline?
The importance of making sure, or that the consequence fits whatever action
Mm,
may have happened. Like I was that person who was like, "Oh, you did this, I'm gonna take your phone. Oh, you did this, but you got to clean up the whole house." And it's like that don't match. You know what I'm saying?
mm,
And so
mhm,
now I'm in a space where, if it's something as simple as, maybe the kitchen wasn't cleaned properly, okay, let's redo it until we get it right.
mhm,
But I realized that being intentional when it comes to those consequences, making sure it is teaching and
mm.
not necessarily harming her. So
Mhm.
yeah.
That is so good. And literally, what you just defined is the difference between discipline and punishment, right?
Mhm.
Again, discipline meaning to teach,
Mhm.
punishment saying, let me make you pay for what you did. Let me make you pay for your mistake versus let me help you learn from this mistake, right? And so I love that. And that's so important. And again, you guys, Thursday, we're going to talk about this so much more in so much more detail. You kind of even hit a little bit when you said making sure the discipline matches the concern, right? We're going to dive really deep into that, even
Yeah.
to the point where unpacking love languages. Like, who has thought about that? How love languages need to be considered when we discipline our kids. And then on top of that, how there are something called punishment languages. I'm just gonna hit on this really quick, really quick, right? So when we think about the 5 love languages, help me out, Amber. Gifts, gifts,
Mm-hmm.
words of affirmation, quality time,
Yep. Acts
acts
of
of
service,
service. What I'm missing?
physical touch.
Physical touch, yes. So we think about those 5 love languages. It is so interesting that there are 5 punishment languages that correlate with each one.
Mm-hmm.
So just like we receive love or feel most loved in one of these love languages, as parents, 9 times out of 10, we gravitate to one of those punishment languages naturally that directly contradicts a love language. We're not gonna go too deep into it right now, but on Thursday, yeah, I'm telling you, we're gonna do a deep dive into it because what Amber is hitting on is literally so important to make sure the discipline makes sense. Again, as parents, I believe we all want the best for our kids. We all want, we want what's best for them, period. Bottom line, right? But sometimes we have to ask ourselves, are our tactics to do that? Is it harming or actually helping? Right. And so you tell the people, Amber, why do you think people need to come out and be a part and make sure they register for that love language of discipline workshop this Thursday?
Um, and this is my personal testimony, but if you want to feel more empowered as a parent, if you want to parent from a place of calm and not chaos, if you want to be intentional about connecting with your child and just being present, you definitely need to sign up for this workshop because I have been able to do all of these things and then some, just by simply being intentional about connecting with baby girl before we jump into discipline. So, and it has been a game changer. It has been such a game changer.
Last thing, how has your relationship changed? Like, what is your actual relationship with your daughter? How has it grown?
I'm gonna tell you something. This little girl tells everybody that I'm her best friend, and I would be lying if I said she was not one of the bestest friends, besties, okay, friends I've ever had. We are extremely close. She's comfortable sharing things with me, and she may not tell me everything, but she comes to me for the hard stuff. Like, y'all, she asks for my advice.
Mm.
She'd be like, "Oh, mama, what you think about this?" And it is one of the most precious things, and I'm so appreciative of it because I feel like, again, that was something I didn't do coming up. Like, "Oh, mama, what you think about this?" I'm keeping it to myself, trying to figure it out on my own. And so to be able to experience that with her, it has been so beautiful, and I'm so appreciative, and I'm excited to see where our relationship grows as we continue to grow.
I love that. I love that. Congratulations, because let me tell y'all something.
Yeah.
She's been out here doing the work. You hear me? Doing the work, like for real, like for real. Congratulations on the growth, on your relationship with your baby girl, because you definitely are reaping the harvest for all the seeds you have
Thank
planted.
you.
So I just want to share this with you guys on the screen. Excuse me. I will drop that link in the chat. Actually, let me try to do it now. I don't know if it's going to stay, but we're going to put it there anyways. So if you guys want to register for this Thursday's workshop, the love language of discipline, where we'll be exploring the impact of love languages versus punishment languages, this is 100% free and open to the public, but you must register to attend. I did share this on my live, but in case you missed it, you guys, my workshops are usually like a 60-minute experience. But we're going to make this like a masterclass style. It's going to be a 2-hour experience. So block out that time frame. Do what you can to accommodate the schedule because I truly believe it will be time well spent. All right. So make sure you guys register for that. I am excited to see you all. Any closing words, Amber, before we close out?
Uh, no, no. I just, well, like I said, just thank you for your gift and for pouring into me. And I'm just so thankful that now other people get to see how awesome you are and the gifts and the light that you just bring to the world. You have truly been a for real blessed. No, 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 no. Stop. But yeah,
Why you trying to make my eyes wet?
Wait a minute, I see a little sweat right there too. Wipe that out. Wipe that out. But
Thank
yeah,
you.
it's a blessing like that the world gets to see,
Oh,
to get
thank
to
you so much.
experience your gifts, like really for real.
I'm excited. Thank you so much. That means so much. I'm excited. Like for real, for real. So yeah, register. It's free. It's free. All you have to give up is some of your time, but I promise it's an investment. So hope to see you guys there. And that is all we have, you guys. Ah, thank you, Auntie. Thank you. But that's all we have today, you guys. In and out, short and sweet. Amber, thank you so much
Yeah.
for sharing your experience, not just as a professional, but also personally around discipline. Thank you for those shameless plugs for this Thursday. And you guys, we are out. I'm gonna drop that link again once we log off, so you guys can register. Hope to see you guys this Thursday. And until next time, keep growing in gentleness.